A very good morning, everyone. So today's lecture is on Introduction to Fixed Partial Dentures. So by the end of the lecture, you must be able to understand the terminology involved in fixed partial denture construction, then the different parts of a fixed partial denture. Then you should also be familiar with the indications, the contraindications, advantages and disadvantages of a fixed partial denture. So to introduce fixed partial prosthodontics, it pertains to the restoration or replacement of teeth with artificial substitutes that are attached to natural teeth, roots or implants, and that are not readily removable. Yeah. So to define according to the glossary of prosthodontic terminology, it is a partial denture that is rooted or otherwise securely retained to natural teeth or tooth roots and or dental implant abutments that furnish the primary support to the prosthesis. So what are the functions of a fixed partial denture? They mainly provide a proper occlusal function. They help in maintaining the arch integrity by replacement and thus maintaining the other tooth also in position. They help in maintaining occlusal relationship with the opposing arch, and also they help in protecting and preserving the remaining structures in cases of endodontic treatment. And what are the indications for a fixed partial prosthesis? The first thing would be like when one or two adjacent teeth are missing in the same arch or a short span edentulous arches. When all the supporting tissues, that is the periodontal ligament, the residual ridge, and the surrounding abutment teeth are healthy, that is when FPD is indicated. Then the patient is also in good health and the patient himself or herself, they ask for a fixed partial prosthesis. Then the patient should also have good skill and motivation to maintain good oral hygiene. And of course, definitely, last but not the least, the patient preference. If a patient opts for a removable partial denture, you must give them a removable partial denture, but it is the responsibility of the clinician to educate the patient and let them know what are the benefits of having a fixed partial denture. Then, and on the same note, what are the contraindications for a fixed partial prosthesis? Necessary supportive tissues are diseased or missing. So, suppose if the suitable abutment teeth are not present, if it is a long span edentulous arch, meaning there are more than 3 teeth that are missing, or otherwise if the abutment teeth that are present are poor in their support, meaning they have some periodontal issues, or if the patient is in general having poor health and patient has no motivation to have a fixed prosthesis, or also the patient's overall oral health is not good. In such kind of conditions, you must reconsider whether you should give them a fixed prosthesis or not. So, apart from the indications and contraindications, you should also be well aware of what are the advantages of having a fixed partial denture than that of the removable partial denture. First thing being, of course, it definitely provides a better appearance than the removable partial denture. Then, yes, it provides excellent function. The aesthetics are very good. Then it helps in preservation of the arch form, and also the tooth anatomy can be modified in certain teeth. Suppose if there are anomalies like peg laterals, or small like the cervico-incisal length of the teeth, especially in the anterior teeth, if they are small, if they are malformed. So in such kind of cases, the tooth anatomy can be modified by preparation of the tooth and replacing them with the help of new crowns which are having better anatomy and hence improving the aesthetics. Then ease of having it retained permanently than to removing it every day and re-wearing it the next day, right? So but there are also disadvantages for fixed partial prosthesis. That is, when you are preparing the fixed partial prosthesis, you all know and you are aware that the margins of the tooth are prepared in such a way that they are along the margin of the gingiva. So in such conditions, they might increase the risk of decay and also periodontal disease. So if there is already a current periodontal disease, a periodontal condition where the abutment is affected, so this might worsen the situation. Then the next thing is maintenance issues. So once you are replacing one tooth, the tooth that is prepared, that is your abutment teeth on either side of the edentulous space and also under the fixed partial denture processes, there is chances of plaque accumulation. So you have to be very cautious in maintaining your fixed partial dentures. And if the abutment teeth are affected, then definitely your fixed FPD is going for a failure. So compromise in the abutment teeth will increase in the risk of tooth loss, and or otherwise it might also need an endodontic treatment. So if it needs an endodontic treatment, the next option would be removal of the bridge, and if after the removal of the bridge, if the abutment is in good condition, then performing a root canal treatment or required restoration. So secondary caries is most commonly seen in prepared tooth structures. So that is also one of the added disadvantages. And if the tooth is already periodontally compromised, then it is not a suitable abutment for fixed partial denture. So what are the different terminologies that you will be seeing in fixed partial processes? First thing is a crown, then you will see laminate veneers or facial veneers, then you will be learning about inlays, then onlay, abutment, then pontic, then connectors and retainers, and we will be dealing with each and every term in specific, right? So crown. Crown is a cemented extracoronal restoration that covers or veneers the outer surface of the clinical crown or your prepared tooth, right? The primary function of a crown is to protect the underlying natural tooth structure and restore the form, function and aesthetics. All the three have to be fulfilled or satisfied by the crown. Only then it is useful, right? So what are the different types of crowns that we see? We know there are two types of crowns mainly, that is your full veneer crowns and your partial veneer crowns. So full veneer crowns are the crowns that you usually do in your clinics, that is advised for your endodontically treated teeth when most of the tooth structure is lost and the tooth is completely weakened because of the loss of the tooth caused by caries or caries. So in that kind of cases, you restore it with a permanent cement or permanent restorative material and then prepare the tooth and then give it a full veneer crown. But in some cases where certain amount of tooth structure is only lost because of decay, or either certain tooth is lost because of a fracture, in those kind of situations we prefer doing partial veneer crown because we do not want to lose more and more of tooth structure. So in that you see 3/4 crown. So coming to 3/4 crown, and other things are your reverse modified 3/4 crowns, then you have 7/8 crowns, then pin ledges, inlay and onlay. So pin ledge is it is occasionally used, it's not very commonly used, and it is used as a either a single restoration to, it is used mainly to establish an anterior guidance. And what we kind of do is we prepare the anterior teeth and it is used as a retainer. Suppose if you're trying to splint 2 or 3 teeth together and you're making a fixed partial denture and you know that your abutment is weak, it is periodontally compromised. So in such kind of cases, what we do is we add an additional abutment, additional tooth in your FPD, and you prepare a pin ledge in the lingual or the palatal side of the tooth and take additional support, which helps in retaining the FPD and gives stronger support. That is a pin ledge preparation. So what is a 3/4 crown? So three-quarter crown, it is if you look at the picture, that is how the preparation looks like. It mainly derives its name from the number of the axial walls that are involved. So in the picture, as you notice, so you have your buccal, your lingual, and the mesial and the distal, the proximal walls, right? So the name itself, it is defined by the number of axial walls that are involved, except for a slight bevel or like a chamfer that is placed along the bucco-occlusal line angle. The entire buccal surface, so in this picture, if you notice, the buccal surface is left intact, and the other surfaces, that is your mesial, distal, and the lingual surfaces are prepared, and also the occlusal surface is prepared. So this is called a three-quarter crown. And you can give additional grooves in the proximal view. If you see, there's a small ditch or a notch like preparation that is seen, or you can also call it as a dovetail. So these are for additional retention. So by giving such kind of preparations, and by increasing the surface area, you are improving the retention of the crown, and also you are preventing the crown from rotational forces, because the crown can rotate in a mesiodistal direction. So that is how your three-quarter crown looks like. So the buccal surface is intact, the buccal surface will not be touched, but the palatal or the lingual surface is prepared, and also the occlusal surface. This is a preparation on a premolar and also a anterior tooth or a crown or a canine, sorry. And the next one is your reverse modified or a reverse modified three-quarter crown. It is usually indicated in cases where the molars are lingually inclined. So already when the tooth is lingually inclined, you know that most of the lingual tooth structure might be submerged, and there is more of buccal tooth structure that is present. So you don't prepare, you leave the lingual side of the tooth unprepared or untouched, and only the buccal surface of the tooth, which is destroyed because of buccal pit caries, is prepared, and that is completely restored with the help of a crown. And if you look at the picture, you will be able to understand that's how a reverse quarter crown looks like. And next, coming to your 7/8 crowns. The 7/8 crown, it usually is prepared on the upper maxillary, or the maxillary molars, where the buccal surface of the crown, which is visible in the when the patient smiles, or or I would rather specify and say that the mesiobuccal cusp and the mesiobuccal surface of the tooth is unprepared. It is left untouched, and the distal half of the crown is prepared. So therefore the mesial aspect, it looks like as if from the mesial aspect, it suddenly looks like it's a three-quarter crown, and when you look at the distal aspect, you will see that there is a coverage on the distal aspect. So mesial half of the tooth is remaining intact, and the distal half is prepared by giving a small bevel or a chamfer finish, chamfer finish line, and you will have a crown that is restoring the occlusal surface and the entire palatal surface. So when you are giving a groove, this helps in again improving the retention. So intracoronal features or grooves or ledges can be provided, and so they help in anti-rotational forces. And so please make sure to remember that your mesiobuccal cusp is intact, and the rest, all of the other tooth structure is completely prepared. And next, coming to your laminate veneers or facial veneers, it consists of a thin layer of dental porcelain or a cast ceramic that is bonded to the facial surfaces of the tooth. It is used to modify or to cover up conditions where there might be situations like the patient is having a fluorosis and there is discoloration of the facial aspect of the tooth. So in such kind of cases where you do not want to sacrifice the entire tooth structure, you are preparing only a portion of the labial surface and hence improving the cosmetic appearance of the anterior tooth. Then coming to inlay. Inlay is nothing but a fixed intracoronal restoration or which is made outside of the tooth. So usually you know that restorations are when there is a caries that is found in the tooth, what we do is prepare a class 1 cavity or a class 2 cavity and excavate the caries and prepare just line it with the base and coat it with varnish and restore it with a cement, right? A restorative material, that is your GIC material or your polycarboxylate cement or your composites, any of the latest cements that are available. But inlay is different from a restorative. It is also a restoration, but this restoration is fabricated outside the tooth and it is luted into the cavity that is prepared. Yeah. So inlays are just similar fillings, but that of your like that of your class 1 or your class 2 cavities. But the only thing that is the way you differentiate is that it is prepared on the laboratory. So once you have prepared the cavity, you make an impression of the tooth with the help of your silicone impression materials, and it is sent to the laboratory, and the material, the restoration is casted either by using a gold or metal or ceramic material, which is the latest that is now being used, and that is luted and fixed into the patient's cavity. And next, coming to onlay. Onlay is also similar to an inlay. It is also either made up of the noble metal, that is your gold or your or any metal or even ceramic. But the difference between an inlay and onlay is that it along with the cavity that is involved in the occlusal and the proximal side, it might also include one or more cusps that is adjacent to the occlusal surface or maybe the entire occlusal surface. So onlays are usually used on the most posterior teeth, that is when there is extensive damage, there is like a deep class 1 caries which is including both the mesial and the distal walls. So in those cases you prefer to do a onlay which will involve the cusp as well. So in this picture you will be able to understand and see that inlay is the one which does not involve any cusp, but it can involve your proximal wall. But whereas in the next adjacent tooth, you see on the molar, you see that the first mandibular molar, you see that the onlay or the restoration is covering the cusp as well, right? So that is the difference between your inlay and onlay. Next, coming to the components of fixed partial dentures. So you have three main components. So when you have been asked what are the components, the first three terms that have to strike your mind is that retainers, pontic and connector. So in your retainer, briefly I would say it has a minor retainer and a major retainer, and next your connectors, you have fixed pontics and fixed connectors and movable connectors, and also your pontics, you have different types of pontics based on the type of the soft tissue, the ridge shape and size. You will decide on which type of pontic you have to use, and also where the fixed partial denture is being fabricated, whether it is in the anterior region or in the posterior region, the shape of the pontic also will be modified. So this is how you can have an overlook. So you will have the edentulous ridge, the tooth that is prepared and it is at present adjacent to the edentulous space is the abutment. So this, you see the arrow mark, there is an edentulous span, and then on the top of it is your FPD. So this is called as, the upper part is called your fixed partial processes, fixed partial denture, right? In this you have three parts. The first one is the retainer, which comes and covers the prepared tooth structure, which is also called as superstructure, that is on the crown, and inside is the metal. So you have a metal coping that comes, that is in your porcelain fused metal crowns, right? And that is your substructure. And between the two retainers, you have something called as the connector between these two, that is your pontic and the retainer. So pontic is nothing but it is an artificial tooth that is replacing the missing tooth. So this is called the pontic, and between the pontic and the retainer is your connector. A retainer is the dental processes that is luted or screwed or mechanically attached or otherwise securely retained to natural tooth or tooth roots and or dental implants that furnish the primary support for the dental processes. And on the retainer is where your ceramic is built. Next is your abutment. So abutment is nothing but it is a tooth or a portion of the tooth or that portion of a dental implant that serves to support or retain a processes. As you see in the picture, so the prepared tooth between adjacent to the edentulous space is the one which is called as abutment. So there are different types of abutments. This is not a proper classification, but it is just for your knowledge that you need to know. There is a tilted abutment, that is when your tooth, when there is a long standing edentulous space for a long period of time after the tooth has been extracted. If it is not replaced immediately, what happens is there is a physiological movement of this abutment tooth into that edentulous space. So in that process of movement, sometimes the tooth will also tilt, and it will tilt in a direction towards the residual ridge. So hence this abutment becomes tilted. The caution that you will have to take when you are preparing such kind of tilted teeth is that you have to notice that the entire tooth is tilted, right? But when you are preparing the tooth, you cannot prepare the tooth in the tilted way, but this tooth preparation has to be parallel to that of the tooth that is on the other side of the edentulous space. If there is no parallelism between the two abutments, what happens is there is no single path of insertion and removal of this 3-unit bridge that you see. So what happens when you place it and when you're trying to take it out, there are chances of breaking, or it's not chances, there is definitive way of breaking the abutment at the level of the cervix. So that is why when your abutment is tilted, you have to modify your preparation and ensure that the axial walls are parallel to the other adjacent abutment. Not only for a tilted abutment, for any fixed partial denture processes, when you are replacing more than one or two teeth, in those cases we have to ensure that there is parallelism between the two teeth, and hence it allows a single path of insertion and removal. Next, coming to cantilever abutment. In your cantilever abutment, in certain kind of conditions, when there is a single missing anterior teeth and you do not want to sacrifice too many teeth in preparing abutment. Suppose if there is a lateral tooth that is missing, or if there is a canine that is missing, or if there is a first premolar that is missing, what we can do is prepare two adjacent teeth or one adjacent teeth if it is a if it's a premolar or something like a lateral incisor. So you prepare one or two teeth depending on the periodontal support. You prepare it, and without preparing an adjacent tooth next to the edentulous space, you give you restore that edentulous space with a cantilever with the pontic that is attached to the abutment which is adjacent to the edentulous space. So this is how it looks like. So you are not preparing tooth on either side of the edentulous space, but you are preparing only on one side of the edentulous space. That is called a cantilever abutment. And next, coming to pier abutment. So in your pier abutment, when there is a lone standing tooth, that is, there is an edentulous space that is present next to this tooth on either side, and on either side of the edentulous space there is two teeth that are present as shown in this picture. So this is called, it is called a lone standing abutment and also called as pier abutment. Next one is your post and core abutment. So when the tooth is prepared, when the tooth is endodontically prepared, and you are restoring it with a permanent restorative material. So what happens is, the tooth is completely is weakened, and the core structure of the tooth is lost because the amount of caries that is present has to be completely excavated, and if we are not excavating the caries, it might lead to secondary infection. So that is the reason why we need to ensure that this weakened structure has to be restored to a solid structure so that it can hold the crown. So that is when we do something called as the post and core. That is, you prepare the post space by removing some amount of gutta percha that you have done in your root canal treatment, and place ceramic or a metal post in the prepared tooth in the root surface, and it helps in providing additional support because you are placed, this post is deriving its support from the root, and on the post you build up the core restorative material. Hence it is the occlusal forces or the masticatory forces that are directed towards this tooth will be directed along the tooth structure, and the tooth will have more support. So hence this is called as a post and core abutment, and on this a new crown is fabricated. So next, coming to Pontic, as mentioned earlier, it is an artificial tooth on a fixed dental prosthesis that is replacing the missing natural tooth, and of course it restores the function, and it is usually seen in the tooth that in the space that is where the natural tooth has been extracted. Next, coming to connectors, as mentioned earlier, connector is seen between the Pontic and the retainer. The portion that is helping in uniting the retainer to the Pontic is called as a connector. So these are your abutment as seen, and these retainers are connected to the Pontic with the help of a connector. So that is called connector. There are different types of connectors, your rigid connectors and non-rigid connectors. So just to name them, in your rigid connectors, you must be familiar with this terminology. Rigid connectors include cast connectors, soldered connectors, welded connectors, and loop connectors. And the next thing is your non-rigid connectors, your tenon mortise connectors, split Pontic connectors, cross pin and wing connectors, rod and tube connectors. So by name, so these are the different connectors that you see, and you might not have to look at it in detail, but you must be aware of the different names of the connectors, and also, so these are the different terms and terminologies that are involved in fixed partial dentures. I hope I was able to explain to you what are the terms, and also I hope you are familiar with the indications and contraindications. That's a very important question, and also the advantages and disadvantages of fixed partial denture processes. So apart from this, if you have any doubts, please do revert back to me. Thank you.